to the country's unemployment rate. You may notice the breaking news, which has decreased to 34.5% as 370,000 more people found work in the last 3 months. Our business reporter, Kopano Gumbi, spoke to the statistician general on the back of the data release.
The official unemployment numbers coming in for this first quarter, a decrease of 0.8% to 34.5% unemployment rate in the country. Joining me now is the statistician general to discuss these numbers in a little more detail. Ishi, thank you for your time as always. Interestingly, those that are not economically active, that number has decreased. Let's talk about that a bit.
Well, let us look at those that are not economically active in two categories. Your discouraged work seekers that have decreased by about 54,000, and indeed going back to about 3.8 million as in discouraged work seekers. But we have seen a larger chunk of other not economically active decreasing. And those movements, we have seen them not going to the unemployed, but largely going to the employed. And in this regard, as you will have realized, we have an increase of the number of those that are employed from the fourth quarter of 2021, where we're sitting at 14.5 million, an increase by 370,000 people, all the way to 14.9 million people as in employed in the first quarter of 2022. The number of those that are unemployed has remained the same or almost the same, having decreased only by 60,000 quarter on quarter, retaining 7.9 million people unemployed. And then when we look at that, such a decrease has resulted in a drop from the previous quarter, where we had reported 35.3% as the unemployment rate, and such a decrease by 0.8 percentage points to 34.5% as the unemployment rate.
What is of concern, at least for society, is youth unemployment, and even that has seen a significant or some kind of a decrease, correct?
Certainly, but generally young people are vulnerable to labor markets, because those aged 15 to 34 years tend to have a relatively higher unemployment. And if we look at it, even when there's a slight decrease by about 2.6 percentage points in relation to the previous quarter, the unemployment rate of those that are aged 15 to 24 years is still in the region of about 63%, which is the highest of all age cohorts. But having said so, we have about 10.2 million people aged 15 to 24 in our country. Of those, 3.8 million are not in employment, education or training, and that represents about 37% as a rate of the need, not in employment, education or training.